this episode of Concrete Reality TV.
Every person who talking to you, well, you should be okay with just getting that. Because every person you talk to, most of them gonna have that woman's perspective that the baby needs to be with the woman. He needs to do that. Like, it's okay if you just see him on the weekend. Okay, how can you be an effective father talking to your child and seeing your child 4 times a month? How could you be, flip the script? What if you were the mother, you only saw your child? Can you feel like you actually being a mother to a child, seeing them 4 times a month? The answer is going to be no, ain't no child can survive. Then why do you feel that the child can survive without the father physically being there on a regular basis too?
The child support system can lead to parents being erased. Child support creates a financial incentive for parents to fight for more parenting time. In many jurisdictions, more custody time means more child support, with even one extra night making a huge difference. States also earn more federal dollars to enforce child support. And if shared parenting means no child support, then there is a disincentive to grant joint custody or to make it the default option. A parent can lose their driver's license, passport, and even be incarcerated for not paying child support. But because it's civil court, you have no right to a public defender. And the worst part? In many cases, the support doesn't go to the kids. The state keeps flat fees, percentages, interest payments, and will hold on to all of it if the custodial parent receives welfare. The billions of dollars spent on child support enforcement could be spent on programs that help families, like mediation, mental health services, and enforcing custody orders.
What's up? I'm El from Acapella. It's your boy Cutta.
Your girl Danelle Wright.
OG2 in the building. And of course, the infamous K Fred.
And together we form Voltron.
Play my motherfucking theme music.
What the hell is going on? You got 5-0 knocking at my door, 6 in the morning. I think you better let it go. I told you once before that we ain't crushing no more. I reminisce on how I used to trick. Spent all my money for that rollie on your wrist. But now it's not the same cause you're caught up in the game.
Before you dip, it was a history on the Title 4D, as that's the title that's in the Social Security for child support. The idea that it's built on is that the system is premised on the assumption that moms have custody. That's one of the foundations. That's what this whole thing is built on. The system is also based on the belief that women are unable to self-sustain. And then it's premised on the myth that dads don't want to parent, don't want anything to do with their children except cursory involvement at best. The system is contingent on one parent being labeled the absent parent. So the whole foundation of it is the idea that one particular parent is absent, the other particular parent is being neglected and can't fend for themselves.
Right.
So it's crazy. That's the foundation of the whole system, and they know that, but they continue to keep it the same.
Right.
Won't make any changes at all. When that's the part that where, it bothers me because I go through my day to day and I hear it, just through dealing with different people. And a woman might say, well, I had a situation where a young lady told me, well, I'm relocating, say from Valdosta, and I want to come to Atlanta. And, well, don't you got a little girl? Well, yeah. I said, what the father think about you relocating that far away? Well, he doesn't like it because he gets to see his child, 3 or 4 times a week. But, ain't nothing in Augusta for me, and I want to move back to Atlanta. And so I paused her, and I said, well, is that in the best interest of your daughter? I said, well, you talking about relocation. I said, well, won't you relocate and leave your daughter down there so he don't have to drive 80,000 miles to go see her child? And that wasn't even a thought process. And she got upset when I said it. She said, well, she got to see her mama. I said, so she don't have to see her daddy? And she couldn't say anything. And it just froze her. And it just...
That's a tough one. That's a tough one because I know people that have been trying to sue because of that.
Right. It's tough because that's the premise of, but I make that statement that says this is an educated woman that I respect, who didn't even consider that the father was important enough to what she should have stayed where she was at, because it was better for that father to be able to spend that quality time with her versus he got to get a hotel room, find someone to stay, drive 5 miles, he had to stay the whole weekend just to see his daughter every time he wants to see her. And she had no clue, did not care whatsoever about the impact of the father. And so the system and it's how women are built now is they care nothing about the father's feelings, the father's rights, and and the value of what a father actually brings to the table. Because again, everybody speaks on what women bring to the table, but most people have forgotten because the system is we've done two things. The system is tore down fathers to where they almost make us irrelevant. And that's why so many of our kids are so bad and going to jail. And the second thing is that our own women are helping them.
Oh yeah. So question, Mill, before you dip, I got two questions. Well, one question for you. Do you think that without Big Daddy being there, meaning the government, to enforce this situation, do you think men would pay without being forced to pay?
Well,
pay what? Pay the courts or pay
towards take care of their child without being.
I think they would pay. Me nor Milton, I don't think ever had a problem with taking care of our kids. We just didn't want to have to take care of a grown person that was trying to just get over and lie to us. So with that being said, I know a lot of men that want to take care of their kids, celebrities and all, like Milton and Chris and Cutta was saying about 10, 15 minutes ago. It's about pushing them to that point. And if I wasn't raised the way that I was raised, I probably would have given up, like, bump it. I'll start a whole new family with a chick that won't be involved in my kid's life. Like, if I was not raised the way that I was and had the morals and goals and values that I have, I would have given up because I went through too much money and too many years of not seeing my kid to where I could have, in 2 years, I could have moved anywhere. I didn't have to stay in Atlanta, but I stayed in Atlanta hoping and praying that I would, that she would just call me and say, I need some help. And she never did. Just hoping and praying that she would reach out or I would be able to get involved in my kids. Like I was literally thinking about moving back home to Michigan, to Detroit. So I know a lot of men that would take care of their kids if they didn't have to involve their women. And the court system right now, and not right now, but being before now, has always been screwed. We shouldn't have to pay women child support, I don't feel. If we got to pay child support, I feel as though we should be able to put it on a debit card and a bank account, and everything should be itemized and labeled. And if they try to spend the money for anything other than for the actual child, it's a no-go. I shouldn't have to pay for half of your expenses for you to live. What if you ain't got no job? I'm pretty much paying for you to live and for you to trick off and do whatever else you want to do. So with that being said, it's a lot of things that need to change that hasn't changed and probably will never change until somebody speak up and say something. And that goes for one of the lawyers that I fired, Attorney Blackman. I fired him. He said he went through the same thing I went through. And I said, but you not doing nothing to fix it. You are a attorney. I don't see you out here protesting. I don't see you out here coming up with no kind of bill. I don't see you trying to do nothing. But yet you charging me an arm and a leg. That's my opinion. But if I can alleviate from paying them, I would rather just pay it out of my own pocket. Oh, what she need? Boom, I got it. Oh, what she need? Oh, how much is the tuition at the school that she go to? That's a private school. Oh, I got it. Versus having to give it to you and expect you to do what you want to do with it. Because I know too many people who get $5,000 and $10,000 a month. They got a Louis bag every day. They in a new car. They getting their nails done all the time, and their kid got snot and bacon juice on their shirts. I'm dead serious.
Wow.
I guess for me, just to answer the question, I see it both ways. I think it's a need for a system. The reason why I'm saying that is that you still got a lot of men in here who on the other side of this where they won't take care of their kids unless someone forced them to. I'm not going to say it's not a need for the system, but I do think the system needs to be overhaul, because every person that's on child support, not every person that's on, welfare trying to keep the system. You actually got people working who need the support. I know I just think of my family. Without some of the things that we receive when my mom was working 3 or 4 jobs to get us by, we wouldn't survive. So I'm not saying it's not a need for a system, but what I am saying is that the system needs to change. So for instance, I would say, if a child was out of wedlock And once the dad has proven by DNA test that he's the father, then joint physical and legal custody of 50-50 should be given day one. Because at this point, she is no more important than the father.
True.
So, that would be the first thing I would think needs to be put in place, just because, again, if you expect me to provide financial for this child, then I should be expected to get half of this child's time.
Mm-hmm.
And then my thing is that it should start 50-50. And then if one of the parents chooses to give up some of those rights, then based off of, that piece of it, you may have to pay additional support and so forth. Then that would be 100% fair. So no man can come and say, well, I didn't want to spend no time with my child. Well, guess what? If the mother's going to take care of him and do all that stuff, then you're going to have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it helping. You know what I mean? She the one who getting up early in the morning, take care of that child and taking them to school and, and take them to their doctor's appointments. You only doing is sending a check. So you got to understand you're going to pay for that. I also think by doing that, it will force more fathers to actually be fathers. We're not talking about a guy who just sending a check. We talking about a man who actually seeing their child, picking them up from school, dealing with them, dealing with their weekly issues, and involved in every aspect of child life. I think if we get back to that type of system, then kids will actually get the support that should be getting out of the system. So I think child support should be dealing with those things. I need to validate, okay, you are the father. And then now, let's set this right so the child get the best care. Because the best care is both parents physically seeing this child weekly together, doing what's needed. I think they should be forcing us to work together, not separate us, in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, the system it calls separation.
Yeah.
Nothing in the system causes you to work together. The whole point of it is you're supposed to be doing what we need. We laid down together to have this child, and then we need to be doing what we need to do together to take care of the child. That the court system doesn't send that message. And I think it's worse with just a child support system versus going through legitimation and custody, because child support even further supports separation, meaning that I don't care if you see your dad or not. We just want to make sure you get a check.
Mm-hmm.
What does that then goes and sends the wrong message to just kids, period. Because they also tell the kid that the dad is not important. But if dad don't send that check, mama can't feed you either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just think it sends just, I think that part has to be reformed. Because if you go and hold me accountable to actually have to physically be there for the child, I think that pays way more money than any child support system can charge a man. Because if anybody who take care of child, if you got to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning when that child are waking up every 2 hours, if you the person who got to figure out how you going to drive 40 minutes across the state to take them to school, then you got to go to work. When you doing all that, that costs way more than any child support anybody paying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think those are the things that we need to actually start taking into consideration when you're talking about taking care of a child. And then the third thing I would say to finish the question is that it should be penalties and charges assist to women who are falsely claiming men for these child, and they should actually have to pay these men back for the amount of money and time that they have to invest when they're going through these private cases. And they make these false claims and nothing is done to them. You know, it should be defamation of character, and they should be going to jail for that stuff. When they file all these multiple like child abandonment cases, and when it's false, they should be getting a misdemeanor and then a felony the next time they do it. I just think the same charge that apply to the men should be applying to the women as well. And I also think that will reduce the amount of court cases, because women won't keep going through and doing the type of stuff that I was being done to, just because we do a little bit better in life now.
Right.
Definitely. Wasted. I just think so much state funds and taxes that we pay are wasted, because you got a ton of women who send in court where these guys are willing to do what they need to do, but they're not forced to be reasonable. And because they don't have to be reasonable, it causes the counterparts to have to spend so much money. Well, my personal opinion is that if the child support system is going to be free for women, it should be free for men. And I should have somebody represent me for free They make sure that I get all my rights up front at the same time. You give her all hers. If you don't have a system like that, then you're never going to reduce that traffic. But my personal opinion, I don't think they want to, because they make a lot of money off of us.
All them fees, all that collections and interest, all that retroactive, everything. It's bad.
Right. And then
$1 billion industry.
Free labor. I get free labor out of you too, because I'm gonna keep locking you up every time you don't pay.
Yep.
And
Every
you can't
time.
get a job.
Every
Now you in
time.
the system. So we can go into a whole nother segment.
Exactly.
Kind of where that segues into. So if that's just my opinion, if you don't do those other things that I kind of discussed earlier, then you didn't reform the system, because what the system was built on, which you alluded to early in your statement, that is not 100% current state. And if you continue using a system that is outdated, you're going to continue having guys that have the stories like I have. And the amount of money I lost, I never recouped. I lost the chance. I lost on every end of the spectrum. And there's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah, you lost
a
potential son. You lost money. You lost time.
Pain and suffering.
You lost a lot.
I lost every corner. And then, like I said, there's nothing. I can go file for defamation of character. I got to go pay money to go do that too.
Yeah, more money. Exactly. More money.
And then you got to pay the lawyer his 33% or 40%.
Right. And then we know she don't have that type of money. And so then you have to try to garnish what you got to pay more money to try to garnish your check. And then if
you can put it on her credit,
part of it,
I can help you do that.
Right. You put it on credit. And then the worst part about it is, and then if you go through that part of the process when you already know she don't have no money, then guess who food you taking mouth out of it?
Yeah, the boy, the child. Yep.
So you dead on every end. So even though you want to go and try to do the right thing, like, you owe me, but okay, you battle with taking care of yourself before we started this. So if I go through this process, I kill the same person that I wasn't trying to hurt in the first place.
Dang.
Right.
That's crazy.
And then the thing is, she already gonna blame you when he get older and ask about you. So if you do that, then that's just gonna show him even more proof. Like, look, he even sued us. He sued us for $40,000.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can't win. That's what I'm saying, is the system and how it's set up is for when guys are hoodwinked, bamboozled, tricked, whatever term you want to use, there's no repercussion for women. And if they don't come up with some repercussion for women for violating the agreements, for falsely accusing men. I mean, if you knew you slept with multiple men and you come in and you go and tell the court that I know he the dad and that dad got to go through all that stuff, he's not, I think it should be consequences for that. Because again, that one lie can interrupt your entire life. That small thing, a woman can go in and say, that baby, you'll be catching hell for months or possibly years sometimes.
Depression, stress,
anxiety. When you really think about it, and I've thought about it, because I've had a cousin who went through this. I had 2 homeboys who went through that as well. And then added to Milton, when I first moved down here, I found out you went through it as well. So just knowing that, I always thought about the past. That term, that phrase, mama's baby's daddy's maybe, came from somewhere. And you think about your aunties, your uncles, and all that stuff. And nobody want to think about grandmama like that. But you think about the people in your family and who daddies was who and how, well, you know that wasn't Daddy James or Daddy Dion's or anybody or Cedric's. You know, that wouldn't be said, baby. You know, that her daddy, that was his friend. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't have DNA tests back then. Right. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of men were creeping, but a lot of women was creeping too.
Yeah. They knew, they just don't tell. They just never told the truth.
Those are those family secrets you sweep up under the rug because grandma didn't outlive granddaddy, and she's the queen of the family, so nobody wants to. And then she saved now.
So, don't want to talk about that past life.
We don't want to talk about that past life when she was out there in the scene and whatnot. But man, you guys have some very interesting stories that I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to relate to. It's just that we don't get, as men, we don't get a chance to really tell our side of the story. We're usually shunned away from society, and when we start opening our mouths about what we've been through, you be all right.
and you're bashing women.
You bashing women. You just bashing women. Who hurt you?
Exactly. That's the alternative. Point the finger.
You'll be okay. You know, you should have just took it. You should have just took care of that baby, even though it wasn't yours.
Oh yeah. Or I don't like that. I don't like to get involved in those discussions because I try to stay even and equal on both sides. It's not. Damn it! You got to stand up for what's right and wrong at one time. It's clear.
This is not right. This is right. I mean,
they're gonna say, well, he did something, or it can't be true, or he lied. He's on one side of the story. I mean, even to the point where I remember I was initially going through it, and he could contest to some of it. You know, a lot of people thought that there was no way impossible I was telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
No way. No woman. No, that can't be. He's lying. Ain't no way. No, that didn't happen. No.
I personally knew you were telling the truth. I knew you were telling the truth. I ain't want to say nothing at first. I'm sorry.
You, I know.
I can say this now. Because we boys, originally, when he was born, y'all used to come to remember I used to stay with E at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, y'all both had the same head, big lips. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's definitely his boy. But as he got older, I was like,
started looking like that mama, boy.
And I looked at her, no features. I'm like, okay.
Well, that's the thing.
Something ain't right about that situation. But you know, it's not my business. I ain't gonna say nothing. That's the lane I took, and I stuck there. And I was like, you know, it ain't my business. I ain't gonna say nothing. But when he told me about the situation, and I was like, he'll tell you. It's like I told him I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I told him I'm not surprised, bro. I ain't want to say nothing,
right?
Because that's not my place. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't surprised.
You become once you are attached, you blind to all of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You don't do that no more. All you know is that when that child come home and hug you and talk to you, nothing else matters.
Ain't nothing else matters. Nothing else matters.
You're blind to all of that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell people, like, if you would have told me, you know, at the time it happened, I couldn't see him not looking like me. You couldn't tell me he wasn't mine. You know,
exactly.
Walk, talk. I mean, he moved like because he was me.
Exactly. You're raising him.
Yeah, he was around you all the time, so he mimicked you.
Right. So there's just certain things or parts about it that you couldn't. And then the most frustrating part about it is that because so many men don't necessarily open up and tell these stories, most women think that this stuff never happens.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Never happens.
Right.
This portion of it. And so when you go and you start talking about it, like that doesn't happen. Every man is a deadbeat. Only time you go through that when a man just don't want to take. No, that's no.
It's not always the case. It's not always the case. It's just that we don't, like you just said, a lot of men, we don't have a voice.
Right. But you think about it. Who's comfortable going to tell somebody what I went through? Like, you really think about it.
Right.
Who's going to be comfortable just going to say, like, hey, I just lost $100K for a chick telling me that it was my child and she slept with somebody a week earlier, and I just went through pure hell and fighting to find out that the boy wasn't even mine in the first place. Ooh, why you didn't go get a DNA test at the beginning? Oh, right. But if we go after a DNA test again, we disrespecting the woman because we asking that we questioning the child of mine. It's crazy. That's the reason why I just tell people all the time, like, it just always remember it's two sides of a story.
Oh, definitely.
And at the end of the day, know that if you're going to do what's right for the child, what's right for the child is for both parents to be spending time with the child on a regular basis, and both of them being responsible financially and physically taking care of their needs. And if both are not doing that, then you're not doing what's in the best interest of the child. I don't care if that's the mother, father, whoever it is. And until the system is doing it and taking that stance, I think you're going to continue hurting a bunch of families.
Oh,
And a lot of men and women going to continue being hurt on either side. And then nothing's going to change, you know. And that's my part of, I'm waiting till somebody put out a bill that's going to address that piece of it. Because if we want to start doing something that's going to be, in my opinion, going to do some major changes, some overhaul to really repair some things, put dads back in the home. Create a system where you're going to have more fathers a part of families, not separated from families.
Right.
You're going to actually start driving some major changes in society. You know, we're not talking about race relations. We're just talking about the simple American home.
Basics.
Put men back in and let men be head of their homes again, and let men be fathers. And I think that would be a big start on addressing a lot of the issues that now they're having with kids. So many kids are always depressed. They always pick all these different things that fathers address. Most of them can't even be fathers.
Right.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, again, they talk about the amount of guys, in my opinion, don't take care of their kids, but no one never talks about the guy who wasn't allowed to take care of the kids.
Yeah. That's a quotable. We definitely gonna use that. They talk about, we definitely gonna use that quotable.
They talk about the deadbeat dads, but they don't talk about the women,
right?
The deadbeat women, or the women that lie,
who
or the
don't
women
allow,
that purposely do what they do to get what they want.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a lot of
right. Like I said, the one thing, guys, I'm gonna leave y'all with this. My attorney told me, he said, once you make a certain amount of money, you got to move differently. That he said that what you should have done is before y'all even had the baby, y'all know y'all having the baby, you should have got a parenting agreement, and you would have had all that stuff put in place. How much money you were willing to give in the event the child didn't go where everything was peachy and cream. You already had her signing some documentation supporting that y'all gonna go 50-50. And he said you need it, possibly if you getting serious with a woman, you need to have that up front. He said that documentation and you ain't married.
Makes
sense. And so you start thinking about that thing, like, why would you have to do stuff like that? Well, I be to tell you, you mess around and have a baby by the wrong woman.
Yeah, that system gonna eat you up.
Yeah, they gonna drag you.
They gonna drag you. You get so far and you get so deep so fast that every corner you going around, somebody will gut punch you. And every person who talking to you, well, you should be okay with just getting that. Because every person you talk to, most of them gonna have that woman's perspective that the baby needs to be with the woman. He needs to do that. Like, it's okay if you just see him on the weekend. Okay, how can you be an effective father talking to your child and seeing your child 4 times a month? How could you flip the script? What if you were the mother, you only saw your child? Can you feel like you actually being a mother to a child, seeing them 4 times a month? The answer is going to be no, ain't no child can survive. Then why do you feel that the child can survive without the father physically being there on a regular basis too?
And why are you forcing me to just pay money and not be involved in the child's life?
Right. I mean, I just think it's money. Like, why would you do both?
Crazy.
That's what I'm saying. You can't do both. If one system says that the father is definitely needed to provide financial security for this child, then how can you go on the back end and feel like the child never needs to see the father?
That's true. That's what the system is painting.
That's what my child's mother said. She said she tried to equate it to, I think, a lion or a tiger. She said some crazy stuff like lions and tigers, the babies don't meet the father until they get older. She tried to equivalent that to human life. Like a child doesn't need a father until she's older or he's older. As a child, the child just needs the mother up until the age of, I think she said 6 or 8 for breastfeeding purposes and all these other things. And I'm like, dude, I know so many people that feed their kids Similac. They do not need your breasts. It's like they use their breasts to control everything. And that's exactly what I had to go through.
Did you tell her about the flip side to that story? About if another male lion comes upon their pride and there's no male lions around, what happens?
He kill all the babies.
Oh, they take over everything.
Yeah, they kill all the babies. Kill them all. So she might want to check up on that.
Check us research on that.
Like I said, I don't think she really cares. Like most women that I, have encountered that doesn't see a man side of it. They They just use what they need to use to defend what they want to defend. So they like to pick and choose when they want to be in society and when they don't want to be considered in society. And I don't agree with those things. I'm not a gray area type person. And one of my lawyers always told me that it was gray areas. And I said, what's gray about her being in content? You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not a gray area. You know what I'm saying? If she can pick and choose when she wants to drop the baby off, then I should be able to pick and choose when I want to pay child support. You know what I'm saying? But I can't. So I'm not trying to hear nothing about no gray area. And I hung up on him, and then I emailed him and said that you're fired. Like I'm not trying to hear nothing about no gray areas. Like, it's always gray areas. But at the end of the day, why do we have the court system if it's gray areas? You know what I'm saying? Like, and the crazy thing is about family court, I don't understand why family court, you don't need actual proof, but in criminal court, you need a shadow of a doubt. You know what I'm saying? I never understood that, because with all the proof that I had, I should have primary right now. But they was going based off accusations. They was going based off what she was saying. And then the judge, they give the judge the ability to decide based on how he feels. And family court, that's all the way backwards. That's extremely backwards in my eyes.
Girl, you got me up in court now, trying to get all of my dough. Better flip what you've been getting.